for over 2 millennia. Just think about that for a second. One of the world's most enduring royal lines reigned in Sri Lanka. So today, we're going to dive into the ancient chronicle of the Mahavansa to journey through this incredible 2,300 years of kings, queens, and shifting capitals.
I mean, that is just a staggering amount of time. And it brings up a huge question that's going to guide us through this whole explainer. How does a kingdom actually survive for over 2,000 years, through all the invasions, the intrigue, and just immense change? Okay, so our story starts in an era of unbelievable stability. This wasn't just some kingdom. It was an institution that was really built to last. And its early years, they were defined by rulers with these exceptionally long reigns who laid a rock-solid foundation for everything that was to come. And for more than 1,000 years, the center of this whole world was right here in the magnificent city of Anuradhapura. It was this vibrant political, religious, and cultural heart of the island, a massive city with incredible temples and palaces. And it's the stage for our first set of really remarkable monarchs. Now, here's what's so wild about the kind of stability we're talking about. Let's take King Pandukabhaya, one of the early rulers who unified the kingdom. His reign lasted for an incredible 70 years. 70. That's an entire lifetime, giving them this unparalleled period of peace and development. And you know what? It wasn't a fluke. His successor, King Siva, ruled for another 60 years. So you do the math. That's 130 years of continuous leadership under just 2 kings. That's the kind of foundation that lets a civilization truly plant its roots, build its infrastructure, and forge a lasting identity. And this just perfectly illustrates the pattern. I mean, sure, not every single king ruled this long, but the early Anuradhapura period was absolutely defined by these giants. You've got monarchs like Alara and Devanampiya Tissa, who also held the throne for 4 decades each. Even the famous King Dudugamuno, a national hero, ruled for a solid 24 years. This was the kingdom's bedrock. But, of course, no 2,000-year story is ever going to be that simple. The long stretches of stability, they were often broken up by intense drama, betrayal, and moments of just sheer chaos. And this paints a very, very different picture. So the key thing to see here is the contrast. On one hand, you have the stability of a single ruler, like Dudujamanunu, reigning for 24 years. And then you get a period of total turmoil, where in just 2 years, the throne saw 7 different rulers. That is an absolutely dizzying rate of change. And that makes you wonder, right? What, or maybe who, could cause such a dramatic, unstable period? Well, the answer lies with a truly remarkable figure from the Chronicle. Let me introduce you to Queen Anula. Her story is pure political drama, a masterclass in ambition. She starts out as a royal consort, but clearly wasn't content staying on the sidelines. First, she poisons her own husband, King Tissa, to grab power. But instead of taking the throne herself right away, she installs a series of her lovers as puppet kings, poisoning each one when she got bored of them to make way for the next. After cycling through a few of them, she finally just casts them all aside and takes the throne in her own name, ruling as queen. And while Anula's story is, well, uniquely dramatic, she wasn't the only powerful woman to take the throne. The Chronicle also tells us about Queen Shivali, who reigned briefly, and the formidable Queen Lilavati, who managed to rule not once, but on 3 separate occasions centuries later. Each time, she navigated these complex political webs to secure her power. Yeah, power was clearly not just a man's game here. And this brings us to our final act. And maybe the single most important factor in the kingdom's survival, its incredible ability to adapt. When one center of power became threatened, whether by invasion or internal conflict, the whole kingdom could literally pack up and move. And the Mahavansa itself gives us this perfect metaphor for the kingdom's resilience. It's this idea that the kings and queens were actors in a grand play, but more importantly, the entire stage could move. And yet, the story, that unbroken line of the kingdom itself, it just kept on going. The play began right here, in Anuradhapura. For more than a millennium, this was the grand stage, the undisputed heart of the kingdom. But then, a dramatic set change. In the 5th century, King Kassapa I, fearing his brother was coming for the throne, moved the capital to the breathtaking rock fortress of Sigiriya, literally a castle in the sky. It was a bold, defensive, and legendary move that just screams of the internal power struggles they were constantly dealing with. After Sigiriya, the stage shifted again.
Polonnaruwa rose as the next great capital. It became the center of a resurgent kingdom under powerful kings like Vidyabahu I, who, by the way, ruled for a remarkable 55 years himself and kicked off a golden age of art and architecture. And finally, after several more moves to places like Dambadania and Kate, the royal line made its last stand here, in the mountain sanctuary of Kandy, which held out as the final bastion of the kingdom for centuries. So here it is, the kingdom's epic journey mapped out across 2 millennia, from the ancient plains of Anuradhapura to the sky fortress of Sigiriya, the medieval hub of Polonnaruwa, and finally to the mountain refuge of Kandy. This adaptability, this willingness to move and rebuild, that was the secret to its longevity. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? A single continuous line of sovereignty, stretching for nearly 2,400 years. From the legendary King Vijaya way back in 543 BC to the very last king, Sri Vikrama Rajasinha, in 1815. That is one of the most complete and longest royal chronologies on Earth, a real testament to the resilience of a people and their culture. And so we end right where we began. This incredible saga of stability, chaos, and adaptation isn't just ancient history. It's a profound story of survival. And it leaves us with one last thought. What can a 2,300-year story of resilience teach us about navigating the challenges of our own time, from political instability to climate change?